died as a result. It was just kind of funny. I was being chased by a horde of zombies. Extreme crashes. And I'm like, I hope I can make it out. Hopefully it doesn't like have the zombies catch up. Due to the error message and everything showing up on screen from my stream crashing, since it doesn't just show it as a notification or anything to simplify it. But either way, so as a result, as I like load back into the game, I'm like glitched out in between like a horde of in the middle of a horde of zombies, which isn't technically possible when they were chasing me from behind, opposed to like from behind and like up front or something, or in front, from behind and in front, or like and the sides, whatever. But because normally when they chase you just from like behind or from one side or like from behind or from the front or like the sides or whatever, they just stick to just attacking from that area. They won't flood around you or swarm around you. It's just like game dynamics. But with this one, it glitched out and I was stuck in between the pack. But whatever. Their AIs aren't that smart for how zombies mob rush a person. Well, actually, it's not even that they're not that smart. They're not that complicated. In order to avoid players getting like extremely mad as to how smart zombies should technically be. They made a game mode where they actually like ran zombies how zombies should be run. I don't think any like there'd be like very few players that would actually be pro enough to beat most of these zombie modes because you'd always have to remember like pre-steps to avoid getting swarmed in. So you have to keep running, you have to keep shooting, have to thin out the crowd, have to thin out the flankers, have to shoot down the main person rushing at you, and then if you get the chance to, unless like one of the flankers is like about to like rush out and then like speed boost around them, which they usually sometimes do also, because zombies are just like weird and vicious like that, kind of like the new Yellow Jacket guys that jump and are able to get all to get to all the like the crazy spots and whatnot. But usually if you have like the slower guys, well, since they're actually faster all around and they don't just like have random speed boosts, I guess that's kind of why they don't get stuck in the back of the crowd. But sometimes it happens, whatever. So I mean, kill your flankers and whatnot. Kill your all sorts of your zombies. That stop. I guess the fatties become very devastating once you're in a crowd too, though. I didn't think they were that bad up until just like that last match where they almost really killed me. Got stuck up in a corner and then it just dealt like 90% of my damage just by the fatty exploding. It was just crazy. It was like 50% health just dropped. I thought they only did like maybe 25% health here and there, like off of their explosions, and they were like kind of sissy explosions to where they're like 10% sometimes. But nah, dude, this is like a full fledged grenade now. It's crazy. They at least up the damage and whatnot. Zombies would be epic if you could scale the difficulty. Or sorry, this says survive till dawn. Darkest Night really isn't that cool. I think it's kind of lame. 100% to like 300 million%. I think it's lame. Like it's totally trollish, lame. They didn't like rework it. Um, the fog, the cloud, everything of that nature is kind of cool, but you should still get like a few seconds before the fog even causes damage. Like it should be like three various stages to the zombie Darkest Night. Because I'm just thinking about it right now. But like, let's say you're stuck out. Like you leave the second you leave the house, you get like a mild intoxication or intoxication. So at that point, it becomes like you're only losing like point, not really point three, huh? Like point five to 0.75 HP every sec, or not every second, but like every half second. Yeah, yeah, like every half second. So like, cause then at that point it goes off of a different timer, so it doesn't seem all that bad. And then Because then at that point it makes it look more realistic too. Because then it looks at the various, or I mean, if you look at the fact of making it look crowd appealing and pleasing, you go off of the half second intervals of losing 0.75 health. So every half second they lose 0.75 HP, and then eventually it scales to being like 5 to 10 HP every second. But it should be like at least like a 10 to 15 second immunity, or like if it's not that complex of a game, or not game, but since we are running on mobile, I don't think they add those complex algorithms to where it detects whether or not you're running from building to building, or if you're just out in the open, if you're just like, or one of those kids that's like glitching, that tries to make it look like they're out in the open, but they're running, or sorry, but they try to make it look like they're running from building to building, but they're just out in the open. So they'll just like stick into like in the center of like a cluster of like four buildings, running in between each and every single one of them without like ever running into one of the buildings to avoid the like. I guess at that point it'd be a different HP counter, but whatever. Because then you'd be losing health regardless, opposed to it extending your time. Because then you could just run from one building to the other, extend your time, and run from building to building, which would be kind of cool. But I don't know, it's just kind of dumb. They just didn't do it that well. But they have to do it to where it's a slower drain at the beginning, to where you can still run from building to building. Maybe increase the zombie difficulty, but then again, that's also another graphical error slash they don't want to. I mean, these devices should be able to push times 10 the algorithms that they're pushing right now, or times 10 the processes and processing algorithms and just processes in general, compared to what they're pushing right now. Like, dude, if you think about it, 5K came out back in like 2005. We're like almost in 2020. By now, it's like cameras, dude. Let's see, the Hubble telescope alone hits like a few million pixels. And you're telling me that little quantum processing computer, which is almost like $5 to make, isn't like readily available for the rest of the public at like a scaled rendition. Like, it's so lame. But that's basically all it is. I mean, it's a quantum processing processor, but I mean, it's not even a quantum processor. It's just like a basic computing supercomputer. But I mean, it's basic quantum processing, because I mean, if you think about like, I guess the way I see not quantum processing but computing, and the way that computing should be scaled as a whole after this sense, like from one point to the other, from like modern computing to like what computing in the future will be, opposed to going towards a quantum particle level, you're technically just going to the whatever molecular structure it would be at. So like, let's say you design like a little block that's made out of just one element, like a like oof, that's even crazier. Hmm. Because then what would you make that one block? Sorry, of the one element. Because then it has to be something good. But it has to be a good example also. So I mean, that's kind of just what it goes off of. But I almost forgot where I was going with this. No, not almost forgot, but I almost like deviated from my thought process so much that I just got irritated. But basically, whatever. So anything that they add into the game, like a human, like a real in-game character and whatnot. Like sometimes they'll add in like the whole, like how they have quantum computers and whatnot. They replace like the molecular structure, like the DNA structure, with like a quantum particles type structure is what they like tried, not really like tried doing, but that's just how they compute it. That's just how they add like the number of variables and all the other like information that basically says this is what this is, opposed to just like lines and straight lines and whatnot. But like basically like a physics engine, opposed to like anything else. So I mean, at that point, like it's like a growth engine, how a body grows, like how a body naturally grows as it's taking nutrients and whatnot. But whatever. So for like example, like a stagnant element that doesn't really grow, we'll go with gold. Um, so I mean, at that point, it's just like taking the molecular breakdown or molecular structure of gold, or the atomical structure of gold, or whatever, however complex you want to do the mathematical designs to, or the mathematical like algorithms to, I guess is what it is, because it depends as to how complex they go. But I guess at that point it becomes like a whole different type of engine. But either way, so I mean, the way I see it is they're just overcomplicating everything, and it's just this overcomplicated indexing, or a search engine just basically is all it is. That's all they're doing with computers nowadays. They're trying to like overcomplicate what the simplified structure technically should be, or overcomplicate what the structure should be in general. But I mean, it's just kind of what happens. I mean, I was just thinking about like why this game lags with its like very simplified, like not even simplified, but it's very simple, not simplified, but very simple like algorithms as to how their monsters, or AI algorithms, I guess, or AI. I don't think it's considered an algorithm in this at this point. It's like a precept. I guess it is an algorithm, but not considered as, actually it is. It would still be considered an algorithm. Huh. Presets and what not, I think is what, or commands, I guess is what it would be more considered. It'd be considered more or less commands, like setups and whatnot. Setups or intended attack routes and intended maneuvers, but whatever. So either way, just to like not deviate from the path. But I mean, that's like not so much that one CPU can not process. Like we're on mobile devices that are just technically pushing times 10 what they would actually, they're even slower than what they should be pushing. Like if you consider the actual facts and reality behind it, it's just crazy. They don't overheat anymore, so I mean that's kind of cool. Makes me wonder why laptop overheats so much. Like, and they're clunky, garbage, complete junk in my world, at least, or in my network. Like, I guess it's just because I'm restricted by the government so much for knowing so much, or just um, trying to find out so much that they just don't want to let me in, or let me just be me. But whatever. Yeah, dude, most of these devices are just way too restricted. Or maybe it's just my network and the fact that, I don't know, maybe I have to find like a different network to join in into. I have this occasional thought process happen every now and again, and I guess it hit again. Sorry, just because this is like horrendous to think of how this game cannot process like the simplest of commands and whatnot, or its AI is just like so very what is it, glitchy, buggy, glitchy, like beta stage. This is worse than beta stage. This is like horrendous, like pre thought out, pre 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 pitch stages, like almost. But I mean, like it's just like that bad, in my opinion. Sorry, I just wasted like half an hour of my life thinking about it. But whatever. Um, Either way, zombies, zombie mode, Darkest Night for from their Evo ground or whatever, technically should have like a better scaled damage engine, I guess, for when you leave the houses and you can run from house to house. But I guess they're just trying to train everyone or force everyone into doing certain stuff. They like get it stuck in your mind, like, no, stay in your house for a few minutes. There's a deadly storm outside. Kind of like in that game, you'll lose health or you'll lose whatever they're plagiarizing from you. Or I mean, you'll lose your chance to not get played. Or they'll just lie to you. They'll give you like some random lie, like you'll lose like your chance to not get plagiarized, or you'll lose all the stuff that you're getting plagiarized. Posted damage, but whatever. Um, This is just how they run it. I guess that's probably why they did it. I just not thought of the actual reality behind it, but whatever. Um, Either way, they should definitely change it. Sorry, so you can run from house to house and actually actually never mind, that would kind of kill it. They should definitely just I don't know. I guess you should just die the second you leave the house, but then it's just boring. And then not enough zombies spawn, or they spawn too many zombies into the house because the houses are like way too small in this to be dealing with zombies. Like you have to have like full fledged warehouses, and even how they scale the warehouses in this game, they're still like too small. Like they're still like way too congested, and it's like um, tall rooftops and whatnot, but they're like small buildings, and they're not really that tall. They're like 8 foot high high buildings, and they're like about average size rooms is what they're trying to claim, but and those things be horrendously small. Even the stairways are like a little too small. Like I don't see how they do this in like it's a virtual environment. You have like room to mess around and or not room to mess around, but room to expand and make this way better. But whatever. Um, Either way, I just went on like a 30-minute critique because I just got frustrated as to how boring this game or how lame these game modes actually got. Like the Survive Till Dawn 2 became kind of slightly better because it doesn't allow so much camping and hiding, but I mean, before you would take some substantial damage to where you had to camp and hide, but now it's just like heavy, heavy damage. You have to be on top of your toes the whole time. I know it's only like 2 nights for per game mode, but it's like it's too repetitively lame. Like there's too like let's say you have like a slew of options as to what you could do with one game mode. This kind of restricts it and narrows it down to where you could even like that one game mode that had like a slew of various options that you could have had now has like or that had like an insane amount. I'm sorry, I don't even know why I don't like that word either. Insane or slew. Hmm. Let me see if I can think of a better word. But whatever, you guys understand what I mean. Either way, it has like various options as to what you could do every single time. Like you can change it up, go to not so much drop into a different spot, but it had like even that appeal just doesn't work because now whenever you do zombie mode, Survive Till Dawn 2, I guess personally for me it's always about the RPD, and I'm always only doing these game modes for these events for boss killing and whatnot. But the rating attack, like to be quite honest, it's like simple and easy. So I mean, I don't see how people don't get like that high of a rating anyways. Like two B's are like quite easy, and A is kind of challenging here and there if you're not that good, but B's are easy. I don't think I've ever gotten lower than a B. I think B is the lowest rating just for participating. But either way, what was I gonna say? I just zoned out. Oh yeah, so I mean, what like it's just like narrowed down to like almost not being able to do anything. Like it's just like set up and restricted to where they have their inside group that they basically pay to be like pros and whatnot, and they pay them every single day to like live for them and whatnot. And then they have everyone else on the outside crowd that has different various renditions of the game. And, like they probably have like like some of these pros have renditions to where they can just like full fledged just like have the map. Like they can pre-plan, have their map like boom, check where their map is at, like pre-plan their whole flight trip, everything. I don't know. I'm just thinking, and the higher graphics isn't much of an issue. I know they have that, but I mean like just extra various things. Like I'm pretty sure they can switch from third person to first person simultaneously, or go into spectator mode whenever they want. Like I know they have these game modes and whatnot, and I know it's not just dev options and not just developer options, but I'm just saying, like this is just basically what it's starting to make me think of. They're just getting me stuck to this to the simplified process because this game mode has to like legitimately be made better. And not just that, but I mean like this game in general, like classic mode has just become like so humdrum, like boring with the same basic guns and whatnot. And then the fact that they only allow the release of certain guns on certain maps, like they have to just completely stop that. But I mean, I guess it does kind of make it more of a challenge to find the guns you want and whatnot. And each, sorry, I have to get rid of that and whatnot. The whatnot. Sorry, I knew I was saying something way too repetitively that got on my nerves. But they legitimately have to get rid of the fact that you can only find certain weapons at certain parts of the like certain maps and whatnot. And there I go again. Sorry, I just couldn't like get away from it. But they legitimately have to change that fact that you can only find certain weapons at certain parts of the map, regardless of which map it is. Because it's actually starting to become quite lame. They should just make it 100% random, and that's that. To where regardless of where you drop in at, there's a chance to get like the random setup that could be like level 3 items or not. Like, sorry, I had something like on my nose and I just kind of my mouth kind of just is a little dry, I guess. But I was thinking as I like thought about it, it made me laugh. Or not made me laugh, but it actually made me think about it like fully. But it would probably balance out the game a lot better. So I mean, regardless of where you drop in at, it's a random chance at random weapons, opposed to like random pistols here and there, like a slew of random just like attachments. Like it should be a set cluster, but I guess like the way I see it now with how many matches I've run and not like looking at statistics and how they set up their statistical like setup or their not statistics but their RNG and whatnot. Sorry, their RNG and their statistics type systems as to what the chances are for each house to have like a pistol or an AR, SMG, what level are the helmets and what level are the vests, flare guns and whatnot. Flare guns and sorry, flare guns are technically just flare guns. There's nothing else that classifies the same as a flare gun. So I mean, it should be just that random. Opposed to like when you go to Vikendi, there's like a 100% chance you'll find a flare gun at the cement factory. Like I understand that's cool. I guess that makes it better for the people that can never find some of this stuff. So I guess you know what they should do is they should add that extra precept to where a guaranteed like there's a guaranteed flare gun somewhere at the cement factory every single time, but they also increase the fact that everything else is random anyways. Like I mean they still increase that random chance while also keeping it to where there's exact spots that have flare guns spawning spawning within each zone. So I guess they're just like split it up into different subgroups and whatnot. So I have to get rid of that. I'm getting so frustrated. I'm just thinking ahead right now. Sorry. I'm gonna get this done because I have to get 2 more boss kills, and then I'll probably just like do some regular matches actually. But back to the show. It took like half an hour. I am gonna mute my mic though for the rest of this match.